Today we're heading off the homestead to go to a local Amish plant shop to pick up some starts to put into the garden and head home and slowly but surely start getting those things planted. I went ahead and started with our onions, and we like to put these in one of our raised beds. They tend to do pretty decently there if, the big if here, I take care of them properly. Last year was a pitiful onion harvest for us because I was very newly postpartum. I mean, like just days postpartum heading into garden season. It was not my best season. However, the year prior to that, I was successful in growing an entire year's worth of onions and shallots for my family. So you gotta understand that every year is going to be a little bit different. That being said, we are planting candy onions this year. If you don't know, my husband and I have been eating mostly carnivore since last October. And that being said, we have been eating a lot of onions with our meat and things like mushrooms, and it has completely healed our palates. And the sweet onions have been so unbelievably delicious. So I told my husband I definitely wanted to plant like sweet onions, candy onions. So that's what we ended up putting in this raised bed, and they have taken so wonderfully. And of course, like everything here, it tends to be a family effort getting things in and teaching kids along the way and just getting them involved, and then creating some independence when it comes to creating our own food supply.
I spent some time and went down to my local greenhouse today. It's way later than I ever have before to get the things that I don't typically start, and they were completely wiped out. So I'm going to show you guys what I got today. My total came to $56, and it'll give you guys a little bit of idea what I start versus what I purchase. And I'm actually kind of excited to show you guys. I only got 3 flats, like, well, 2.5 flats, which is like nothing compared to what I normally do. Like I said, I spent like $56. Normally I spend $200. So a big part of that is because I have all of my cucumbers I started, and I didn't buy any tomatoes this year, which is the first time I've ever done that. So let me show you guys what I did get. So in this flat, I got 4 rhubarb plants. My greenhouse sells them in either packs of 4 or packs of 3, depending on what you're purchasing. Most are 3. I mean, correction, most are 4, but I think most of their squash and their melons come in 3 packs. So I got 4 plants of rhubarb, but 1 pack. Does that make sense? I got a couple things of marigolds in different colors. I'm going to plant these with my tomatoes. I got a 4-pack of red cabbage. I also got a couple things of lettuce. I got 1 pack of jalapeno peppers. These are some more marigolds, and something I really wanted to try this year was sweet potatoes. I knew that my greenhouse sold them, so I didn't start them in any of my own slips, and I got the last pack of sweet potato slips. I wanted to get like 2 or 3 of them just because I've never grown them before, so I'm probably going to kill them. But they only had 1, so I was grateful for the 1. At least they had 1 for me to try this year, and that's just how it's going to be this year for me. So this is my first flat of items. Flat number 2 is a couple more things of lettuce. Here I also got, let's see, I got a cantaloupe. I got a couple things of pickling cucumbers because most of my pickling cucumbers died on me. I only have 1 or 2 pickling cucumber plants that survived. So I got a couple 4-packs of those. I also got, I'm trying to dig for tags here. Let's see, I did get a couple things of butternut squash. We don't eat butternut squash. We give this to our chickens. So we'll see how that goes this year. My squash is always hit or miss for me. Some more pickling cucumbers. More pickling cucumbers. More lettuce. I got a couple things of cabbage. Or is this cauliflower? This is cauliflower. I got, I think, 8 cauliflower plants. A couple more cauliflowers here. Some herbs, different types of basils. The sun is really working against me here. I also got a couple more things of cilantro. We planted a couple of these already, but I got a couple more. And that kind of concludes what I got. Typically, I would also get about 20 heads of broccoli. They were completely sold out. I asked them if they were going to start another succession. They said it probably wouldn't be for a couple weeks. So what I'm going to do is start my own broccoli plants and plant them in the fall garden and hope that that's going to be good enough for me. So that's what it's going to have to be this year.
Later that day, after my husband got home, he took the kids for me for a while, and I headed out to the orchard to plant some of our ground layer. If you have been around lately, you know that we have been doing a lot of this. I've been talking a lot about the 3 layers of our permaculture orchard, which, just for a little bit of a review, are your trees, your shrub layer, which are bushes, and then your ground layer, which is what I'm putting in here, which tend to be more like perennial herbs or vegetables. They could be flowers, anything that sticks low to the ground. That being said, I'm planting some chives. I'm also putting in some lavender. Lavender has always transplanted really well for us, and lavender does perennialize here in our zone. We're like right on the cusp of it being a perennial here, but we've never had an issue with it not coming back. I also am putting some different kind of vegetables in our rows here. I put in some squash and some melons, things that like vine out. We also have a couple zucchinis growing in our rows here. This is the first year we're really trying to go all in and get a lot of vegetables in our permaculture rows. We also have a separate garden space that I plan on showing you guys in future, like later in this video, that we're going to get planted. But this is going to help utilize our small acreage. We live on just under 3 acres. It's like 2.7 acres. So it's not a crazy big piece of land. And maybe what we need to do is do a full homestead tour showing you guys how we produce or are planning to produce large amounts of food for our large family on a small slot of land. Here I am putting in some butternut squash. We don't eat butternut squash as a family, but these are used as boredom busters for our chickens and our ducks throughout the winter time. We lock our chickens and ducks in the winter, and they can tend to get a little squirrely. They can beat up on each other sometimes if you don't enrich them being locked in a small space. So that's where the squash come in, and later I plan on putting in some pumpkin seeds and more watermelon seeds. We put in a couple cantaloupes, and it's just that simple. I just kind of walk around, find a spot that could use one, and plop it into the ground. The next day I went out to kind of finish the job and saw that our ground squirrels had been digging holes around every single thing that I had planted the day before, so I was a little frustrated with that.
So after seeing the burrow holes next to everything that I've planted, I just gave you guys a couple examples, but literally everything that I planted has been either dug up or there's a hole dug next to it. We have a lot of ground squirrels that we struggled with over the last couple of years, so I can only presume it's more ground squirrels. That being said, I have 2 cilantros. I don't want to plant them in the orchard because I really want to have some cilantro, because all the cilantro starts that I got have been ate in. Like, there's only stems left on the cilantros, so they will grow back, and presuming that I get to it before the ground squirrels, I should have some cilantro. That being said, we have rain gutters that are attached to our deck. I'll show you that in a second. Just a little bit ago, I planted some flowers in it and some citronella and a bunch of like cilantro and different types of basil seeds. So that was gonna act as like my second succession of basil and cilantro. The starts that I get from my Amish shop were going to be my first succession. I don't want to lose these, and if I plant them over in the raised beds, it's not fenced yet. I think the deer will come in and eat them, so I'm going to plant these up in my gutters for now, and that way I have them and I can use them because I really like having it fresh. So I'm just going to put it up by the house so that I don't lose these, because I will be really sad if I lose these again by making the same mistake. So I'm gonna learn from my mistakes. I'm gonna let my husband know about the ground squirrels. Maybe he can come up with a plan, because if they're just digging everything up that we're planting, it's gonna be an issue. So I don't know, stay tuned to see how we figure out that issue. Or if you have any suggestions, that would be really great too.
One of the things I love most about being on the homestead is utilizing leftover materials from other projects. So this is just our regular deck. We put up rain gutters that we had left over from putting up on the shop, filled it with potting soil, and we use these to plant flowers, citronella plants, and herbs. At night, I just got my little ones down to bed. It was a late one tonight, but my husband's actually out tonight, so it's a Friday night. My husband's out walleye fishing out on the bay with some friends, so he is not here to help me, but tomorrow is supposed to be a cooler day. It's a high of like 65 or something like that, and the rest of the 10-day forecast is supposed to be like 80s and 90s. So I haven't gotten my garden really planted yet. Just one of those years, it's taken forever to get in. We've been super busy. So my plan is to try to finish planting. I was able to get out here earlier tonight and plant out most of my tomatoes. I have about half of them left. I'm hoping I can finish planting out my tomatoes, and then I have some cucumbers here as well I want to get in the ground. And if I can get this like really rocking and rolling before the sun goes down, I also have like some other stuff like cauliflower and other brassicas and lettuces and stuff that I can put in the ground tonight too. So basically I'm going to be working until I have no sunlight left, which is probably not going to be a whole lot. We are working with a pretty full moon tonight though, so that might help as well. So let's see what we can get planted. I have all of my Homestead tomatoes planted and about half of my Romas planted, I think. So I've got Romas, Abe Lincolns, vintage wines, and then my cherry tomatoes to plant. So we're just gonna get done whatever we absolutely can. Obviously you can see we got the weed paper down and wood chips on it, so now it's just time to get things in the ground and hopefully rock and roll. Whatever I don't finish tonight, I either will try to get out here early in the morning to plant in tomorrow, or I'm basically probably not going to get them planted because the kids have a birthday party tomorrow, so I'm not going to be home. It's just one of those, it's just trying to fit things in little chunks of time that I have. So let's hurry up and try to get this done before the mosquitoes literally eat me alive. Sometimes you just have to work with the time you have. So my husband was actually off the homestead at this point fishing, like I had mentioned, and the babies were like in bed, happy, doing their thing, and I just really wanted to get these in because of the weather. I wanted to get this in now because it works well to put them in when it's not going to be super hot and it's not going to be super sunny. It helps them transfer a little bit better. It's less of a transfer shock if you can do it that way, and it's not often in homesteading that things line up really perfectly like that for you. So I felt like it would be a waste if I did not use that to my advantage. My plants were up by the house. I totally forgot that I had them. These are marigolds. Can't see, so dark. I also have some basil. I forgot to plant these, so I'm gonna randomly put these in between the rows of my tomatoes. And I actually had some volunteers come out. Lakin came out. She's filling up containers of water jugs, watering cans, and she's gonna come through and water these while I keep trying to rock and roll. I know it's dark, but we're just rocking and rolling with what we got. I'm gonna put my peppers in, and I think I might be able to get a good amount of this planted tonight, which is great if I can survive the mosquitoes that are coming, because the mosquitoes are crazy. So let's see how much further we can go here, but I'm going to keep planting, and Lakin's going to start watering things, and hopefully the bugs don't carry us away. It's the next day, and I'm out in the garden to, one, finish planting what I didn't get planted yesterday, but also to kind of check my work from last night, because about, I'd say the last
like 40% of what I planted only by moonlight. So I couldn't really see how great of a job I was doing. I really should have went inside and gotten a headlamp, but I was just trying to push through. Things do look like maybe they're having a hard time transplanting some things, but that's just kind of part of it. My tomatoes actually look pretty decent, so I'm hoping to get everything in the ground, and then tonight, once we get past the heat of the day, because it's noon now, probably around 3 or 4 o'clock, I'll get the sprinkler on these, give everybody a really good drink, and hopefully then everything that is looking a little rough will rebound really nicely. At least that's what I'm hoping. And then later, about a week from now, we're supposed to get 2 days of really heavy rain. So I'll give these guys a couple days to just sit where they are as they are, and then before I get the big rainstorm, I'll come and fertilize everybody and then let the rain kind of wash that in, and then hopefully we'll kind of be like back up to where I would want to be, and everything will be looking really good and really healthy. So I have pickling cucumbers I need to get in, my sweet potato slips, and then just my marigolds and some basil. So I'm hoping to be able to rock this out really quickly. My husband's home today, he's inside with the babies, so I'm just hopefully gonna rock this out really quickly and without mosquitoes carrying me away like they did last night.